Greetings and welcome. I, of course, am Pagan, resident Druid Horrormancer, and your guide to all things spooky and macabre. And tonight, we're in for a real treat. Like many, the show Are You Afraid of the Dark was my first real introduction to the horror genre, and I have many fond memories of staying up past my bedtime to indulge in the child-friendly tales. This anthology of stories originally aired between 1992 and 1996, and saw not one, but two revival series in that time. Does it still hold up today? And what can be learned by picking apart the classic tales that made it so successful? We journey into the spooky cinema to find out. Tonight's installment? A tale of the Phantom Cab. Is there anything at all that is more iconic in terms of like nostalgia horror than that opening? Phew, it gives me chills.
We're called the Midnight Society.
Excellent name for a society.
Separately, we're very different. We like different things. We go to different schools, and we have different friends. But one thing draws us together: the dark. Each week, we gather around this fire to share our fears and our strange and scary tales. It's what got us together, and it's what keeps bringing us back.
This is one of the things that I absolutely love about Are You Afraid of the Dark? For a show that was airing in the early to mid-90s, I think they absolutely nailed representation, and the idea of a midnight society of a bunch of different kids, different groups of friends, different backgrounds, different everything, coming together over their love of horror, that's something that can carry through even till today.
This is a warning to all who join us. You're going to leave the comfort of the light and step into the world of the supernatural.
Oh, we're so here for it.
Hey, watch it, man! Sorry.
Frank Moore, you're here to be considered as a new member of the Midnight Society.
Yeah, what's with the blindfold?
This meeting place is secret?
Yeah, and you're not in yet.
Swell.
Who sponsors Frank?
I do. He's a good guy.
Yeah, but can he tell a good story?
Who said that?
Alright, so here we have learned a whole bunch of things, all in rapid fire. We've seen some of the members of our Midnight Society. We know that their meeting place is a secret. In order to join the Midnight Society, you must be sponsored by someone who is already a member. And in order to join the Midnight Society, you have to be able to tell a good story. I should consider applying.
To be a member, you have to tell us a scary tale. Then we vote, and it has to be unanimous or you're not in. You ready?
Hey, I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Ooh, I'm scared.
Unanimous vote, I like it.
Yo, take this thing off.
Sorry. Not unless you get in.
You're the sponsor, Dave. You gotta start it.
That's right. Got to keep the blindfold on. Tell a story in the dark.
Say the word.
Anytime.
Okay, let's do it. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story The Tale of the Phantom Cab.
I still, to this day, do not know what they were throwing on this fire to make it, like, flare up like that. I need to get me some. It's a good way to start off, though. I dig it.
Denny and Buzz were brothers. Denny was big, strong, and smart. Buzz was, well, kind of a geek.
Kind of a
He wanted to prove
geek.
himself to his big brother.
Great exposition starting off, letting us know the main character's motivation.
Was that on this hiking trip, Buzz was gonna get the chance.
Foreshadowing statements, I like that. I very much like that. It's a good way to start out. We've got a little bit about the character and some foreshadowing going on. Excellent.
Where are we, Tonto?
This is strange.
We're lost, aren't we? Don't sweat, Denny. I know how to plot a course. You never trust me. I did trust you, and you got us lost, Cheeseball.
We're not lost.
Cheeseball.
Great lame wad. Now we're lost and we can't read the map. You are such a loser.
I'm not a loser. And we're not lost. Look,
I don't know, that
there's
map
a
looks like you could still read
We
it.
can circle back and take the red trail. Man, this is whacked.
Watch the edge.
Whoa!
Starting off right away, I have to make commentary on the way in which these two are responding to each other. I love the fact that the way they're telling these stories, you know, with the easy expositional statements, letting us know right away who this character is, what he's trying to do, impress his older brother. That is really good. That instant foreshadowing statement at the start, it does come off as though this is a tale that's actually written by one of the members of the Midnight Society, right? It's got that sort of juvenile flair to it, which I appreciate. That's not a bad thing. But then you get to a scene like this, where we got our two characters interacting, and it's like they're calling each other cheese balls, and it's just really kind of forced language. You can tell that an adult actually came up with this story, because they don't know how to write for age-appropriate children, but they tried. It was a good effort, but it is noticeable. I don't think it was as noticeable when I was a child.
Grab my hand.
I can't. I'll fall.
Grab me, you jerk.
Why are you like 6 miles away for him to grab you? Like, why didn't you just walk over and grab his wrist? What is wrong with you?
Hey, I saved the compass.
I should have let you fall.
So this was an interesting little scene. In this scene, we do realise that despite the animosity that we saw earlier, there is, you know, care between the older brother to the younger brother. He does care, he doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. He's just kind of dealing with that whole, I don't like the little kid, he's kind of a nerd. But he does still care, and I think that's probably going to be important later on.
The guys really were lost. It was just a pain at first, but nighttime was coming on fast, and it was getting cold.
Alright, it's just getting dark and cold.
Doesn't make sense.
You even know how to use this?
Give me a break. We've been going south for hours. We should have been in town by now. Look, the needle points north and we're headed south. What can I say?
That the way you always hold it?
Yeah, so?
Your belt buckle, genius. It's metal. The needle's always gonna point to it because it's a magnet. Yeah,
Alright, so our little nerdy brother was holding the compass near his belt buckle, which is the reason why they got lost, despite the fact that they had a map and a compass. I don't think the magnet in the compass is going to be picking up on the belt buckle, but it's a fantastic way to give a reasoning to why we're lost, right? Because when it comes to writing a horror story or doing something horror in general, you always have to have a reason why you're in the situation that you're in. It's a brilliant little reason. You're holding the compass too close to your belt buckle. Oh, I love that.
we've been going the wrong way all day. Now we're lost and it's freezing. You are worthless.
No, no. I know this place. We've got to be close to town.
Slow down.
Oh, camera angle means there's something watching us in the woods.
Trail up here! Come on!
I should pound you.
Look!
So the fact that the older brother ran up to the younger brother and said, I should pound you, it's not lost on me that in today's world of 2023, saying you're going to pound someone has an absolutely different meaning than it used to. I hope that's not what he's talking about.
Someone's coming!
Maybe it's a ranger.
Or maybe it's a hiker that knows his way back to town.
I hope he's got a blanket. I'm freezing.
Me too.
Forget it. You can freeze.
Maybe it's a maniac killer in a hockey mask who's gonna slash us.
The Jason reference. I dig
Maybe
it.
you should stay here and let me do the talking. Hey, hello? Who's there? Oh, turn off the brights.
Hello? What have we here?
Alright, I'm fairly sure that it's not the same person, but this actor really reminds me of one of the guys in Hocus Pocus, right? They're harassing the main character Max and they steal his shoes. The guy that was going by the name Ice. I think his name was actually Ernie. Looks just like him, or at least to my brain.
I'm Buzz, and this is Denny. We got lost and we can't find the trail back to town.
Easy, Toad. You're not a ranger, are you?
Ranger? No, not me. I'm a traveler, same as you. Flynn's the name.
So what are you doing up here? You lost too?
Hmm.
Me? Oh, you might say that. Though I suppose I couldn't be truly lost. I know these woods too well.
We far from town?
Farther than you know, my friend. Farther than you know.
So can you help us
Okay,
get by?
buddy.
Me?
Yeah, I don't see anybody else here.
You guys look half frozen. Tell you what. You follow me, and I'll lead you to someone who can help you.
Wait,
Alright, that's a bit strange. You're a grown adult. You find two children wandering around in the woods. They clearly tell you that they're lost. It's obviously cult. And you just stand around giving cryptic philosophical answers to their questions. Aye, Flynn, I aspire to you one day.
I wouldn't go with him. He gives me the creeps.
you got a better idea? Don't worry, I can handle this too.
Oh, we're totally going to be safe because older brother thinks he can beat up the random stranger we find in the woods. Yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. Let's follow him just off into the fog. Not a problem here.
Why don't you just tell us how to get back?
Too far, you never find your way in the dark.
So who's this guy you're taking us to?
Good doctor. He's got a cottage a little ways up here.
In the woods?
The
What
good
kind of a
doctor.
doctor lives in the woods?
Patience, boys. You'll see. By the way, how are you guys at solving riddles?
Alright, so it's important to note that we did run right into the guy. So he's definitely physical. We've had physical contact. This is good to know. He's not a ghost. Oh, is he? Well, he's physical. He can't possibly be a ghost, right?
Riddles, why?
Just asking. Just asking. There you go, boys. Home of the good doctor. Just like I promised. You guys thought I was joking, didn't you?
Who lives here? The seven dwarfs?
Just one thing, guys. Before you go asking the doctor for help, you make sure you really need it.
Why?
Well, sometimes the price he charges is a little, steep.
So why don't you just tell us how...
Alright, guy. Thanks.
Yo,
That's really
Flynn.
helpful.
This is creepy.
Lost in the
Let's
woods.
go.
Let's
But
bring
where? We're
you
lost,
to, you
remember?
know, the doctor.
You're not going in there.
What else are we gonna do? It's freezing. Maybe he's
And
got a
yet you're
phone.
not shivering. Either one of you.
Back off, would you?
I'm sorry I got us lost, Danny.
Don't worry, I'll smack you when we get home.
Mysterious crying from the woods is mysterious.
Flynn, I know it's you. He's trying to scare us.
He's doing a good job. That can't be him, too.
Probably a raccoon.
Yeah, raccoons.
Danny, what's going on? Danny!
Come on.
What's there?
I don't know. Open up!
I just need to point out how ridiculous it is that we're lost in the middle of the woods. We get ourselves into this crazy situation. We're standing around outside of the good doctor's house. The door is glowing red for some reason. At first we think the weird sounds that we hear are Flynn. And then when we realise it can't possibly be just Flynn, our next thought is maybe it's a raccoon. Right. Because raccoons are definitely known for their spooky qualities. Absolutely. Good plan. Good plan. So now we're going to go run banging and screaming at the door of this random mysterious doctor. It definitely has that juvenile sort of air to it, you know, like the teenager storytelling. We don't worry too much about the details. We need to tell the story. There's a certain kind of charm to that, but just watching it now as an adult, it's hilarious. It's too funny.
You boys have made a very grave mistake. I don't suppose either of you are any good at riddles?
At riddles. Alright. What is your name?
I think we have the wrong house.
What
Bye.
is your quest?
Boys, you've made a mistake.
Wrong series,
If
my
you're
bad.
at my door at this time of night, you've taken a wrong turn and lost your way, correct?
Yeah?
Happens all the time. Come in, get warm.
Who was he looking at just then? Excuse me. Who were you looking? Can he see us? Is he meant to be able to see? I don't think I like this. I don't think I like this one bit. And we've got a great expositional shot here.
Dr. Vink.
Dr. Fink?
Vink with a v. Who wants tea?
Vink with a v. I love this guy. I love him so much. I aspire to be just like this man. Living in the woods, doing strange experiments, offering tea to anyone that happens by. That said, I love the exposition of the workshop that we've just seen. You know, it's letting us know this guy is clearly up to something. It evokes a lot of, like, mad scientist vibes, which I think is exactly what they're going for. Mad scientist living in the woods, calling himself the Doctor. These are kind of immediate things that you would grab from this. They're simplistic, and that's a good thing. The show was aimed at children, but I think despite that, watching it, you instantly know, here's the vibe, here's what's going on. It was done very, very well. It's not overcomplicated, it doesn't require a lot of thought. It makes it very easy to get in and kind of immerse yourself in what's happening, which is something that I think, in general, Are You Afraid of the Dark does so well.
I do. Hot tea on a cold night. Perfect.
Offering tea.
Flynn said you
A
could
man
help
after
us
me
find
own
a way to
heart.
get back to it.
Natural science.
Huh?
That's why I'm here, in case you're wondering. I've dedicated my life to studying flora and fauna.
Who?
There are many strange and wonderful things that occur in nature, but no one takes the time to really look and study.
Preach! Preach! You are so right. We druids understand. We druids understand. I am not a nutbag. How dare you?
A true wonder of nature. The brain of a wild boar.
Ew. Cool.
I've discovered that long after the body dies, the brain still gives off electric impulses. Can you imagine if that energy could be harnessed?
Alright, we've got some serious Frankenstein vibes going on with this guy, which is, again, it's great that you can kind of just immediately jump in and understand who this guy is, what's going on, what's going to happen. It's brilliant writing in its simplicity. We like that around here. Also, huge shout outs to this brain of the wild boar. I think it's some kind of pork sausage patty, which is well done. Well done. Use what you've got.
And I am not a nutbag.
That's right. I'm not a nutbag.
Our
How
parents are
dare.
probably going nuts by now. And,
Riddles. How are you boys at riddles?
Doc, we're tired and we just want to go home.
Indeed, indeed. But first, a riddle. Try this one. How far can you walk into the woods?
We don't want to do riddles.
That's an easy one.
Riddles exercise your brain. And where would you be with no brain?
I don't know. Ask the wild boar.
Halfway.
Say what?
He asked how far he can walk into the woods. Halfway. After that, you'll be walking out.
Good. Very good.
He's right. He's very right.
They do.
It's a good one.
I'm going to call our folks.
No, not yet. We've only just begun.
No, I think we're done.
Alright, weirdo.
We play by my rules, or we don't play.
Alright, that's a little creepy. Personally, if I was in this situation myself, I'd be like, alright, well, thank you for your time, we'll be leaving now, and just leave. I'd rather, go out into the woods alone and try and figure things out than deal with the crazy old guy living in the woods who would dare to cut his own phone line if we're not going to answer his riddles. That's got bad news bears written all over it. All hecking over it. No, thank you.
What do you want?
Another riddle. Here's the deal. I ask you a riddle, and if you solve it, you can call your parents.
And if we don't solve it,
Then you leave.
That's it? We just leave?
Simple, no?
It is quite
let's
simple.
do it. I'm good at riddles.
Okay, what's the riddle?
Wonderful! Wonderful! Now, what riddle?
It's clearly got so many to choose from.
No, not that one. Maybe the... Ah! The perfect choice. This is a riddle that has perplexed many and confounded even more. And now, young lads, it's your turn to solve it.
He spent an awful long amount of time thinking about which riddle he was going to ask us. Now, part of me wants to say that this is them setting it up to make it seem as though he's had several people show up and he's done this with everyone, this is kind of what he does, and that it maybe didn't go so well to other people. But in my own little heart, because I love the idea that this is a story being told by a bunch of kids around a campfire, I really like the idea that the storyteller is just making it up as they go along, right? Like, they have a vague idea of the story that they want to tell, but they've come across they need a riddle, and now they're trying to decide what riddle do they know that they could use for their story, and so they're stalling for time. As a storyteller, I've been there before, and so this kind of works for me. The way that this happens, someone sitting around a fire playing the bard, having to come up with a riddle on the spot when they have several at their disposal, that's my headcanon, as the kids call it these days.
Here we go. What is it that has no weight, can be seen by the naked eye, and if you put it in a barrel, it would make the barrel lighter?
I hate riddles.
Okay, it's weightless, it can be seen by the naked eye, and if put in a barrel, would make the barrel lighter.
So?
I don't know.
So I have to point out the fact that the older brother is clearly playing the role of maybe more popular, maybe a jock or something. Little brother is the nerdy one who knows all of the things. He doesn't even try. He doesn't even try for the answer. We're going to rely on little brother. This is his moment to shine, and he fails. Setting up more conflict inside of the conflict. Well done.
I knew you wouldn't get it.
Wait, that riddle is too hard. Give us another one.
You had your chance and failed, like all the others.
Others? What others?
Lots of others.
You know where the door is.
But we're lost.
Take a left on the trail, follow it to the dirt road, and wait. A taxi cab will pick you up.
A cab? In the woods?
Comes by every night. Hurry, or you'll miss it.
Come on, Doc, just let...
Alright, job well done. Job well done. Look at that. We don't get to call home, but at least we have a way out of here. Let's take it before things get any worse. I suppose that wouldn't really advance the plot, though, would it?
Just use the phone.
There is one way, I suppose.
What? What's that?
You can leave me a specimen.
A specimen?
You're much smarter than your brother gives you credit for.
What kind of specimen?
Something I can use in my experiments. Something valuable. Something fresh. Something like this.
Alright, we have a hand in a jar, and we stand there screaming. Why are we so scared of a hand in a jar? I don't get it. But I suppose that we did need a reason to go running and screaming out of the house, so it works, I suppose. The guy wasn't exactly threatening. He was like, you could leave me a specimen. He wasn't quite threatening, I don't think. And then again, I guess they are children.
Goodbye. For now.
For now, you say. I just like that. I just like that very much.
Wait a minute, no fair. You can't put a riddle in a story that can't be solved.
Maybe it can.
Yeah, right. It's weightless, you can see it, and if you put it in a barrel, it makes the barrel lighter. No way.
Sounds like one of those riddles you can't solve.
That's a cheat.
No. Maybe it can be solved.
Maybe you should all just lighten up and let me finish the story.
I love the expositional framing of this. This is why I love the Midnight Society so much. Because they're doing kind of what we're doing here, right? They're listening to stories, they're picking them apart a little bit, they're analysing them. That's where my love of horror came from. The nostalgia is so real. But they are basically making the argument that you cannot put a riddle in the story if it can't be solved, right? What they're saying is you've created a conflict in the story where there's absolutely no way out of it. And I think for a long time in the horror genre, we saw the same sort of thing, right? Where there's always going to be a sole survivor, there's always a way to get out of the situation, to undo the curse, to escape the crazed killer. There's always a way, there has to be. Almost like the comic book code. Until we came along to a new genre of movies and horror and that sort of thing, which is no matter what you do, there is no escape. But I love seeing this little time capsule and sort of this little feeling from all of these guys that, like, no, there has to be a resolution to the stories here at the Midnight Society. This is what we're about. We all have to be able to sleep at night. I kind of like this rule. I'm not going to follow this rule myself, but it's a nice rule.
Thank you. So, Danny and Buzz beat feet back into the woods. All they
I
wanted
miss that
was to
phrase.
get as far
Beat
away
feet.
from Dr. Vink as possible.
Hey, Danny! Wait up! Was that somebody's hand?
You saw it. The guy's a lunatic. As soon as we get home, I'm calling the cops.
We're still lost, you know?
Yeah, I know.
You really think a cab's gonna come by?
Get real. There's no cabs in the woods.
There's no cabs in the woods. Honk honk. Yes, there are.
Lying. It's a taxi cab.
Man, are we ever glad you came by.
So I just have to point out how very just convenient this cab is, right? It's such a juvenile plot point. You have to have something that will happen to move the story along, right? Out in the middle of the woods, even the characters acknowledge how ridiculous a cab is. And the storyteller's just like, nope, we're doing it anyway. There was a cab in the middle of the woods. It's my story. Shut up and listen to it. Heck yes, I appreciate the gumption. Do it. Cab in the woods.
Take us into town. Our parents will pay the fare when we get home.
Don't worry. I know you're good for it.
Is that Flynn?
I figured I'd run into you guys
I
again.
guess so.
Guess you didn't solve the riddle.
How do you know? Who are you?
I give a ride to folks who can't answer Dr. Vink's riddles. Happened to me around 40 years ago.
Whoa, slow down.
Aha.
40 years ago?
I gave Dr. Vink a ride up here in my cab. He offered me a big tip if I could solve the riddle. I couldn't, so he took a specimen from me.
So this cabbie said that he already had a cab. He already had a cab 40 years ago, right? So he was already an adult at that point. And now it's 40 years on from there. I'm thinking if you own a cab, you're probably not owning a cab immediately at 18, right? You had to be at least 20, 21, something like that. And then 40 years after, this man does not look 60. Alright, shut up, hey? On with the story.
Find a specimen.
You didn't see it at his house? Oh boy. I think it's one of his favorites.
What is it?
It's not what it is. It's what it was.
Oh!
Oh no, no longer have a hand.
I got off easy. For 40 years I've been bringing folks up to Dr. Vink's, hoping they can solve the riddle. But they don't. So they all end up here with me.
What happens to them?
Hey, Dr. Vink's needs his specimens.
You're a lying sack. First of all, you're not that old.
Didn't I tell you? Before the good doctor got his specimen, had myself a nasty little accident. Crashed into this big old tree. You might say, I sort of died!
Oh my gosh, I love how that's meant to be like a big scare moment, obviously, as evidenced by the fact that our kids are screaming their heads off. But the way in which it was done was so campy and brilliant, because this was a show designed for children, right? So we're not trying to scare the bejesus out of them, although I think children could use a good scare. It was done in such a way that it's actually very comical, so that way, you know, we don't have kids that are up all night with nightmares and parents won't let them watch our show anymore. That was really well done. That was really well done on their part. I enjoy that. I don't know whether that was a writer or whether that was a director or whoever that was, but whoever made that particular choice, hats off to you. My hat off to you. Not that I wear one, but you get the point.
Stop the car! Stop the car!
They all die, just like me. Every night I have the same accident with a different fare. It's kind of a curse. You probably heard some of my fares up around Dr. Vink's house.
The bushes! They were ghosts!
Nobody can leave.
Well, that makes sense now.
Dr. Vink's riddle. I was hoping the two of you could do it. You know, somehow break the spell. Oh, well, wait till you see the accident we're gonna have. Oh, it's gonna be a real doozy.
This is your fault! You said you could solve the riddle!
Still got time. We don't crash for another 30 seconds.
40 years. 40 years worth of people. And nobody has solved the answer to this riddle. It's honestly quite an easy riddle, but I love this premise. I love the premise of, you know, for 40 years people have been trying to find the answer to something. and there's nothing that any of us can do to break this curse, to break this spell. It's up to you two. You two have to be heroes. You've got about 30 seconds, or you're going to die.
That's boys.
Think!
Okay. It's weightless, it can be seen by the naked eye, and it's put in a barrel. It'll make the barrel lighter.
Fire! Fire is weightless, that's not the answer. But
I can't.
it would definitely make the barrel lighter. You can see it with your naked eye,
You have to.
and it's weightless.
It's helium. Helium will make the barrel lighter.
But you can't see helium.
Won't be long now.
What can you see that's weightless?
Nothing. Air. But you can't see air. Or can you? Wait a second, there's a trick here. Can't put something in the barrel to make it lighter. You have to take something out. If you take something out of the barrel itself, it'll be lighter.
There you go, kid.
Wait till you see the explosion we're gonna make.
I got it!
I just have to point out, we're seeing this child walk his way through the riddle, and it's meant to be really tense, right? Our driver is like, it's so tense, wait till you see the explosion that's going to happen. We've got this really swell music going on in the background. But I also have to just keep in mind, it said we had about 30 seconds. 30 seconds before we crashed. It has definitely been longer than 30 seconds. Right, here we go.
I know the answer!
What is it?
It's weightless, you can see it, and if you put it in a barrel, it'll make the barrel lighter.
Say it!
It's a hole! It's a hole in the barrel!
Here we go.
Well, that wasn't too bad. Well done, kid. Well done. That transition was actually pretty good. You know, for like as low budget as this show appears to be, at least at the start, that was a really good transition. Well done on the cinematography. I enjoy that. It was a blink and you miss it sort of transition, but it worked. It really worked. There was not a lot of CGI trickery or anything like that. Well done. Well done.
We didn't crash. We're alive.
Where's the cab?
It's gone. We broke the curse. We're saved.
Yeah, we. It's definitely us. Team effort. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We didn't break the curse. You did.
Right, there we go.
It's going. But you're still
Look,
a
it's our
loser.
resolution.
Oh man, not again.
Aye, look, a ranger.
You Denny and Buzz Crocker?
Yeah?
Your parents have been going nuts looking for you. The whole town's in an uproar. Come on, get in.
The whole town is in an uproar, as evidenced by the fact that I, the ranger, who is wandering through, like, it'd be my job, I'd think, if kids are lost in the woods, to organise a search party and have, you know, the town walking in a line through the woods, spaced a couple of feet apart. That's what we'd be doing if the whole town was in an uproar over us two missing. But I'm just, you know, driving around on my Jeep, hoping I'll find you in the ride. I'm going to just chalk this up to the fact that it's a child telling the story and they don't understand how search parties work.
What are you boys doing here anyway?
Tell me something. How are you at riddles?
No one ever saw the Phantom Cab again. And when the boys brought the police back to Dr. Vink's cottage, all that was left was an old stone foundation covered with weeds. The end.
I like that. I like that. So we got a bit of resolution. We got away. The curse is broken. We've done the thing. There's our resolution, which was what we said we needed to have in our story. But we've still left it open. Oh, the mysterious Dr. Vink has gone missing. The cabin was never there. Or was it? I quite like that. I quite like that as an ending. Well done. Well done.
And now the vote. Thumbs up means Frank's in, thumbs down he's not. And it has to be unanimous.
Unanimous voting is
Dave?
best.
Kiki? Betty Ann? Kristen?
Trying to make it dramatic.
Eric. And me. Congratulations, Frank. Welcome to the Midnight Society.
Congratulations, Frank. Your story was good enough for us. Welcome to the group. We tried to make some drama here. It's like, oh, he might not get in. He might not get in because there's a story within a story going on here. I enjoy it. I think it's brilliant. Well done. Congratulations on getting in with that story. There we go. And that is the end. Let's talk about it. Well, that certainly was a nostalgia trip. It's easy to see why this show left such an impression on many, myself included. Storytelling that is easy for younger viewers to follow and comprehend, combined with characters that are simplistic enough to grasp onto their motivations in a few seconds of screen time, but with enough complexity to still be compelling, truly makes a wonderful introduction to the horror genre. The framing of the Midnight Society provides not only a fantastic introduction to the compendium of tales to be presented throughout its runtime, but it also lends a certain credence to the storytelling. After all, these are not tales written by professional writers, but rather stories written and shared amongst a group of children like the target audience of the show itself. Clever marketing. But, my dear horror seekers, this show is anything but the pedantic presentation of yesteryear. No, my friends. Like the tales contained within, there's far more than meets the eye. So I invite you to press that subscribe button and stick around while we continue to join the Midnight Society and discover why Are You Afraid of the Dark really set the standard for an entire generation of spooky cinema. Until next time, may harmony find you, and nothing else.